the end right here.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, Nero did that last week with Aaron O'Brien, and I was like, oh wow, like we don't have to say it. All right.
Yep, here's the official copy.
Oh, cool. Stream talking shows when trauma. Do I need to show that? Oh crap! I haven't. I don't even have the asset going. Oh geez. Banners. There we go. Show. There we go.
There we go.
All right. I'm not showing live on my end yet.
I'm live on my end. Twitch is good.
Sometimes I have to just tune into yours for some reason.
Yeah, because mine is the one that usually works.
Yeah. All right. Let me find you. There we are. Okay. And yeah, we still don't have many people. So Sharon, I'll like be looking off to the side a lot because I like to watch the chat and interact with them. So I'm going to throw up some hearts.
Hearts.
Hearts. Smash the hearts.
And I'm seeing chat on Substack as well. Oh yeah, here we go. So yeah, so so the shared oh my god, the shared live works. So here we are. We're both looking at the same thing now.
Cool. All right. Wait for people to show up. I like to say happy Father's Day to people that play both roles. So I'm not sure what your situation is, Sharon, but
oh no, I have a wonderful husband.
Oh, good. That's
trying
good
to record me right now against my will.
Yeah, I have to play both roles for my adopted
love
kid.
a supportive husbando. Oh my goodness. All right, let's see. We got one person in chat. I think that might be me.
Yeah.
This might be solely me.
Or it might be me too.
Might be me, yeah. Let's see. Yep, so there's the live right there. Oh, Kimmy's here! All hail the subscription fairy!
Kimmy's always with us. I love that.
Kimmy's always with us. Kimmy's wonderful.
I'm still not seeing people joining on. I might have to refresh. Oh, you guys are good. I wonder if, let's see. Oh, you guys are fine. You had a late brekkie. You can have a late dinner.
Furry babies. Mother, I demand sustenance.
Okay, Tig. Somehow you get this. You're seeing people in the chat more than me because I don't even see Kimmy.
So I don't know. God, I think we might be on. I think I might be like. Yeah, we're like still streaming in two places, mind you, because I did the double stream. Yeah. Okay. So this is like my stream that I see Kimmy in. Hello, Kimmy. And
Joe just joined.
Oh, here. I'm gonna pull up your live as well in a different tab, so we have all three running simultaneously, and then I can see who's in whose stream. There we go. Oh yeah, I see your hearts. There we go.
Yeah. All right. We have Kimmy, Joe. Hang tight, y'all. You know how we roll. We wait until people join, and then we get going.
Joe's here. Yay.
Yeah, I just saw that. I think we might have a little bit of a lag between us.
Little bit, because we're doing like a joint live on Substack. Because it's still technically the same stream key. So
yeah.
Sharon, we have Kimmy says, hi, Sharon. Nice to meet you.
Oh, hi. Thanks for joining.
Oh, yeah, Sharon, can you see the chat? You can't see the chat, can you, yet?
No.
I think I can, but then it covers my screen.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
iPad.
You're on iPad, so yeah. And too, Sharon, like if some of the chat has like questions or comments, we'll present them to you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hello. Oh my goodness.
Hello.
4 minutes in. 4 minutes. Okay, let's see.
4 minutes later.
4 minutes later with the French accent. With the French, like Tom Kenny is a freaking genius actor. He is. He deserves an award so many times over. Oh my god! I was like making this joke earlier. I've been like binge watching like a lot of episodes and clips from like the second season of SpongeBob for some reason this past week, and it's been freaking hilarious because I actually saw there was a YouTube on a off clip from like 12 years ago. This video was a panel from like original cast of SpongeBob, and they're doing like a full like Comic-Con panel from like 2012, I think it was. And apparently the episode where like the bad words episode where they're like or the nautical noises like censoring the bad words in this episode, in order to record that they actually like went full deal cursing and then put the bleeps over.
Oh wow.
And that tape will probably never see the light of day, but I wish but could you imagine? Oh my god.
Okay, Joe just said, I don't know the topic, so I responded with the topic, when trauma doesn't feel like trauma. Yeah, I'm bouncing between both, and
I think we're looking at the same thing, honestly.
Okay.
It's joined, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It did joined. It works.
Yes,
we can have
it
one
does.
solid chat. Hello, Marnie.
Yeah, Marnie. We're getting a few viewers. We're going to wait probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 more minutes, see how many we get, and then we'll get on with the show.
Oh, yes.
So, Tig, are you going to do the recorded disclaimer, or are you going to just verbalize it?
I'll verbalize it for now, and then I'll get the solid audio, and I'll send it to your way via the share drive, so we can just plug it in as you can plug it in as an asset every single time.
Yeah.
And I can get like my deep, like testosterone-filled announcer voice going. I've been practicing that, honestly. I can tell you, like, I mean, the HRT's been going great. I can do like a solid like impression of the guy from the Old Spice commercials.
Oh yeah.
He's like, "Hello, ladies. Look at your man now, back to me. No, look at your man now, back to me."
You guys will get fed when I'm done.
Oh my god.
I don't know. What do you think?
Guys just literally met on Substack while you. Oh wow! What a great connection to make. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was saying, after I got diagnosed with bipolar. Dog, come on.
Oh,
it's crazy how he does it.
One of many.
Hello. Oh my
goodness. They're like, feed me.
Mother, I demand sustenance.
Trauma, the title to one of my songs, Scream Like a Yawn, Just Like a Yawn. Nice, Joe. Yeah, you'll have to share that.
Ooh.
Anyway, so I just did like a personal live right after I got diagnosed with bipolar.
Yeah.
And like I said, both Tig and my other co-hosts were in the chat. And I was like, hey, does anyone want to come on with me? And, and they both popped on live with me, and it just stemmed from there. So,
yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. What do you think, Tig?
How Substack is like, it's so different. The feel is just so different than any other social media platform.
Yes.
And people feel actually, well, I don't know, in my space, like, I don't know how it is outside my space, but like in my space, I feel like people feel safe to share their most personal things. And like, that really resonates with me, and it means a lot to me, which makes me in turn, like, want to share more.
Yes. It's definitely a really good community,
Yeah.
It's a very special platform that's designed specifically for that, as an alternative to the whole social media problem that we face on a daily basis. It's not like engagement focused.
Perspective on that really has been like for me, because I'm not like I like to go and share on social media, but I'm not necessarily a consumer of social media. So you'll see me like I have very few people that I follow, but like I love to share, but I'm not necessarily scrolling endlessly all the time. But it just to show you in context, like I've been on Instagram and Facebook for the last year, and between the two platforms, I've only I can't break 150 followers because my platform is not visual. My platform is words, right?
Yeah. It's words.
But then I joined Substack, and I also eventually joined Threads just a few months ago. And between Threads and here, I have almost 1,000 followers. So it just shows you it shows you the difference between what you're meant to kind of go towards. And like if I was meant for a more visual platform, then Instagram and Facebook would be working for me, but I'm not. My platform is words, and that's what seems to be kind of taking hold and kind of moving the trajectory up. So
and that's how I found you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And welcome in. Yes.
Tig, so we have a few in here. We have Marnie, Kimmy, Joe, Stephen, Tamara, or Tamara.
Oh, yes. I think we actually have a solid batch to get started. We're like 10 minutes in, so this is like a pretty good solid start.
Okay, so as you all know in the chat, I'm Sushi, host of Mindhaven. I have my co-host Tig here. We want to give a warm welcome to Sharon. She has she writes on Substack side, so I will look up your website and post it in the chat so they can find you.
Thank you.
And today's topic is when trauma doesn't feel like trauma. Before we start, we always do a disclaimer, so we'll let Tig take the floor.
I guess that's my cue then. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mindhaven. Mindhaven is a weekly podcast and a safe space for discussing mental health topics and stories about mental health conditions for those with lived experience. We are not mental health professionals. If you are in crisis, please do not DM the host or participants. Instead, see the sources and links for support and resources below. And without further ado, let's get started, shall we?
All right.
Welcome in, Sharon.
Welcome in, Sharon. And this is your show, so you can introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your history, and the topic you would like to talk about.
So obviously I'm Sharon, and I started writing on Substack about 7 months ago. I decided what brought it on was I had written a lot when I was a child growing up. It was kind of one of my outlets. My father was an alcoholic, and he was abusive to my mother, verbally abusive to me and my brother, sometimes physical with my brother. And my mother, I realized more and more as the years go on, was probably what would be considered now a narcissist. So dealing with two dynamics like that and then them intertwined, it really it created obviously a really tense situation in the home, like every single day. It was just day in, day out. There was always something. So growing up, writing was one of my biggest outlets, whether I was writing poetry or, a rap lyric on a piece of paper or scrap paper, stories, all that kind of stuff, or writing in my diary. It was just always this outlet. And then I kind of lost it over the years. And then only recently, I actually wrote a post about this. My daughter, who's getting older now, I see her taking on writing a lot. It's a big outlet for her in a very different way. Like she uses her writing creatively to have an imagination and to create these worlds for herself, whereas I was using it to kind of escape reality. And to see that connection between us happening, it really reminded me when I saw her writing more and more over last summer. I kind of thought to myself, well, why did I ever stop? And so it got me started again. And then all of a sudden I found Substack and decided I would start sharing for the first time all this personal stuff, because I just, like I said to you before, it was just something where I felt like if I could help somebody resonate with something that I was going through, then that would mean the world to me, because I knew that I didn't have that growing up. I didn't have that outlet. I didn't have somewhere to turn where somebody was understanding everything that I was going through. So if I could make that possible for somebody else, that's what made me encouraged me to share a little bit.
Yes.
So yeah, that's me so far. And I've got 2 kids and a wonderful husband. They're upstairs right now. My husband enjoyed his Father's Day today. So right now it's my time, and
well, we're happy to have
ready
you.
to get into it.
Yeah. All right. You want to talk about a little bit about the trauma that doesn't feel like
so this was one of my essays. I wrote it a few months ago, but then recently a lot of new people have found me, so I kind of re-released it, and it really ended up resonating with a lot of readers. So it's basically about when trauma doesn't feel like trauma because you're basically living inside it. It becomes normalized. So many things that, you know, are dysfunctional suddenly become like, oh, what are you talking about? You become the black sheep when you're the one calling out the bad behavior. And honestly, it's a reason why I ended up having to go no contact with my parents eventually. Because it just became this dynamic where they couldn't kind of accept responsibility for everything that was going on. And being in that environment, once I became a mother, I couldn't do it anymore. Like I just, if it was just me, I continuously think like, if it was just me, I think I would have put up with a lot more than I was willing to put up with once I became a mom. That really changed the game for me because I was just not willing to participate in passing on toxic behavior to my children because there was no change there. I gave my parents multiple opportunities for change. And that's like one of the things that people don't really realize about, you know, estranged adult children that go no contact. They get judged very harshly. And I've been online and I've been called a horrible mother, been called my father, who was an alcoholic and abusive, that he deserved better than what I'm giving, that I'm a terrible person, I'm a terrible example for my kids. All this stuff has been said to me, that I should be more understanding to my father's situation. And it just kind of revealed this side of society that is willing to say, instead of looking at what the parent's behavior was, they're looking at the child. As the child, you had no choice in the situation you were brought into. But you have a choice as an adult whether you want to continue it or not. And that's where I decided no. That once I became a mom, the decision was no. And to be online and to have still society be saying, to be looking at my behavior as opposed to my parents, and nobody ever thinking, well, what did the parents have to do to possibly have a child turn away? And the thing is, a child at the end of the day never wants that. That's never the number one choice. A child has often spent a lifetime trying to repair, giving endless second chances, and trying to do everything they possibly can to hold the relationship together at the expense of themselves, to try and keep it together before they finally say, I'm done. And it's just so often that online, and even within my own extended family dynamic, it's been, but they're your parents, but they're your mother, but they're your father. Okay, but have you looked at what they have done to cause what is happening between us now? It's only about the child is ungrateful and unwilling to participate. Oh, you have to forgive and forget. They did the best they could. That's a big one. And sure, do I think in some ways my parents did the best that they could? Sure. But at the end of the day, the best that they could do still wasn't enough. And at the end of the, you kind of have to make that decision. As harsh as that can sound, your best isn't enough. When you're a parent, you have to realize you're shaping somebody else's future.
Absolutely.
And you cannot, if you're not doing your best, and to say that you're in an abusive situation, you're in an alcoholic situation, and you're living this day in, day out, having to put yourself last as the child, there comes a breaking point. And to be judged for that is heartbreaking for the child. But nobody really wants to look at that side of it. They always want to say the parent did the best they could. But then where does the child draw the line?
Yep. I'd like to interject real quick. It kind of reminds me of my adopted daughter and myself. We recently, it was a big ugly divorce, and I adopted this child before the divorce and had to sell a house and move in with people and things. And, you know, this was before I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and I was all over the place emotionally. And anyway, so my kiddo's 18 now, but like they were 16 when the divorce happened, and we lived with their biological aunt for a year. But it came to the point where I was so distraught and all over the place mentally that the child literally like quit, like disowned me for a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was not being attentive to their needs. I was more like trying to figure myself out. Right. So it's kind of like, I get what you're saying in that respect. I mean, we're back to our relationship now, but
yeah. The difference I'm hearing there though, is that you sound like you're aware of the situation.
Yeah.
Which brings, like, for my situation, if my parents took any, like, even just the modicum amount of accountability, remorse, sorrow, you know, regret, if any of that was expressed in sincerity, things might have gone a different way. Right? So there's a difference between saying, I'm a parent, I made a mistake, I did the best I could, and taking hold of that and trying to make the effort to change. Because when a child sees, like, okay, they're not perfect, of course, but they're trying to make a change, then of course you can still have that in the back of your mind, like there's hope.
Yeah.
But when there's no accountability, when there's no regret, when there's no taking any kind of responsibility for how you've shaped this person that was in your hands as a child in their formative years, there can be no repair. Yeah. Without accountability, there can be no repair.
Yep. And repair a relationship that never existed in the first place.
Exactly. Exactly. Where do you start? Where do you build from? There's no foundation there. And the foundation is truly on dysfunction, and you can't build anything from that. And so when I wrote this essay, When Trauma Doesn't Feel Like Trauma, I started thinking about the fact about how uncomfortable I was using that word with myself in my situation. And I say in my essay, you know, the very definition of trauma is that you've done psychological damage. You've experienced psychological damage by, you know, extreme circumstances have been committed. And by its very definition, of course, my life had trauma in it. I watched my father beat my mother. I watched my father fall down in drunken rages, passing out on the family room floor, moaning all night in his sleep, keeping everyone up all night because he was blackout drunk. Watching my mother, you know, then they would have these knockdown, drag out fights. And then the next day, it was like nothing happened. Everything was swept under the rug. He would be physical with her. He would verbally abuse her. Sometimes me and my brother would get right in the middle of it as children trying to protect my mother. And the next day it was like, no, what's the big deal? Right. There was one very specific moment where they were fighting on and off for hours, swearing, breaking dishes in the kitchen. It was just going on and on and on. And my mom had this way of like poking. And she, like, my dad would walk away and she would follow him. And she would just continue. And so the next room and then into the next room. And like, they would just have these long
antagonizer.
Exactly. Yes. And then he would lose it and put hands on her, and it would just never end. And then the next day, and then he would pass out drunk. And then the next day she would just forget everything. And one time when this happened, she went into the room and watched TV with him, sat down like nothing had happened the night before. And I just thought to myself, like, I wasn't surprised, but I was like, how can you do that? How can you sit down next to the person and chit chat over a TV show after you were breaking dishes in the kitchen the night before, screaming, swearing in front of your children? All this was happening in front of your kids. And I pulled her aside and I said, because I was so mad, like, how weren't you? Yeah. I said, how are you not still angry? How can you sit there and watch TV with him as if nothing happened? And she just kind of smirked and went like, I know, and kind of walked away.
Weird. How old were you at that point?
At that point, I was in elementary school. I was I wasn't even 13 at that point.
Wow.
And I just said, like, how could you not hold him accountable for like anything? And in my mind, it was just, and I don't doubt that it was very much probably a survival tactic for her as well, to kind of sweep everything under the rug. But at the same time, when you have children in the situation, to kind of dismiss their experience in it as well, it makes you not able to trust your own feelings as a child. Yeah. Because then you grow up seeing all this horror, all this dysfunction, all this trauma, and you think to yourself, well, maybe I'm the one overreacting.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the indirect gaslighting, the invalidation of it all. Exactly. I mean, the narcissist prayer, honestly, you're right. It's like, that didn't happen, and if it didn't happen, I didn't mean it, and if I did mean it, it was probably your fault. It is again and again and again. It just
Hey, really quick, Sharon. And Kimmy made a good point in the chat. Kimmy says, please tell Sharon that she's receiving a lot of love in the chat, and you are.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I've been so busy, like, kind of skipping back and forth that you're getting a lot of love.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I hope I hope what I'm saying is like resonating with people, because like in this essay especially, I've had so many comments from people talking about how, like, yes, like when you use the word trauma, even though you know up here it was trauma, definition, it was trauma, here it feels like I'm telling the little girl who survived everything something different. That I'm telling them that the survival is lessened because now you're labeling it as some traumatic event. It takes away what the strength that little girl had to show throughout all those years, because then it does something to me that my mom did all the time, which was play the victim. And that's always been my number one thing, that I don't want to play the victim, because my mom did it to a T.
Sure.
She was the one who, yes, she was in a horrible situation. I don't deny any of that. She was, married to an alcoholic who was abusive. She took on all the finances by herself. She had to hide money from my father. She took on a lot. But at the same time, she was willing to, she had a family who would have backed her. It wasn't the situation of, I'm in fear of my husband. I have nowhere to go. I have no job. I have no family. I have no way out.
No, she stayed.
Yes, she stayed because I think she was as addicted to him as he was addicted to alcohol. And that was the issue at the end of the day.
Was he the breadwinner? Like, did she depend on him?
They both worked, and my mom worked at the bank actually, and she had a very high position, and they offered her management positions many times. And she did work hard. She didn't drive, so she was going downtown back and forth, taking the train to and from. So she was out of the house from 7 o'clock until 7 p.m. at night. And I was waiting for her on that porch at 7 p.m. at night. On the porch, just a ball of anxiety almost every day, making her promise as she walked in the door, please don't start a fight. Please don't start a fight. And she would promise me all the time. And then she'd walk in and she would start right away. It wouldn't take more than 10 minutes. And she had all the backing in the world. She had siblings that lived within 10 minutes of us. And if it wasn't for my extended family, my life would look very, very different. I would have probably repeated the cycle myself if it wasn't for that extended family that showed me something different. But she had people willing to take us in. She had a good job. So it wasn't the typical, and my father too, at the end of the day, it wasn't my father putting her in fear. My father, yes, they got physical over alcohol, because at the end of the day, she would try to often stop him from drinking more, taking that next drink. And he would get angry. He'd be drunk. He'd get angry and get physical. Like, no, you're not going to take my bottle away. You're not going to hide it from me. You're not going to do this. But he, at the end of the day, would say right in front of me and my brother, if you want a divorce, because that was her thing, she would threaten divorce often. Never knowing she would never follow through. But she would threaten it. And every time she did, he wouldn't say, it wasn't one of these, oh, if you leave, I'll try to find you and kill you. It was, oh, fine. You want to leave? Sell the house, give me half the money, and I'm gone.
Yeah.
She needed the control.
Yeah. And
she got off in the control.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even though she had the help, she had the support, she had the financial side on her, like she had a good job, she was unwilling and just unwilling to do anything about it, to change the situation. My brother and I would be crying in her bedroom, begging her to leave. I don't even know how often. And it just would to no avail. And it was at the cost of her children. It was at the cost of her own mental health in the end. And my father ran the show. So
she liked the control. It was chaos and dysfunction and danger.
Yes, absolutely.
But it was her chaotic dysfunction and danger. And that's
she would
why
tell
she stayed.
anybody who listened. Anybody who listened, this is what he's putting me through. This is what I'm going through. It was a show at the end of the day for her.
Sure.
To have something to say, like, oh, look at what he's doing to me. Look at what he's doing to me. Okay, well, here's your solution. Let's find a solution together, whether it was her siblings, whether it was me and my brother. Let's find a solution together. No. She continued to play the victim. And that was why when I wrote this post and when I wrote this essay, using the word trauma made me feel like I was trying to say that I was a victim. And watching my mother play that role my entire life really just makes me feel like if I do that, I'm trying to tell people, hey, feel sorry for me. Look at me. Look at what I've been through. And that's just not me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just, I don't want to ever make people feel like they have to feel sorry for me. And that was the big issue when I started to use this word trauma surrounding my writing.
Right.
I was like, well, it is, but why am I so uncomfortable using it?
It is,
but you're reflecting back in and like reliving,
but also
your experience as a child.
But also that association between victimhood and willful powerlessness.
Yes.
And that's not what was happening here.
Exactly.
Your mother had total control. She was in power.
Yes.
So it wasn't victimization on her part. She was in control. It was chaos, but it was her chaos.
Yes.
So, and it was a victimization on your part because you didn't have that power.
I had no choice.
No, you didn't have power in that situation at all.
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely.
Something you should, I think that's something like the word victim and the word trauma has been so messy in terms of their association and definitions because they're tied. They completely disregard who has power in the situation and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my other co-host I see is commenting on the YouTube side. Hey, Nero, by the way.
Hey, Nero.
So Nero says a couple things, trauma bonding, and I am so sorry. And then the next line is addicted to him is the very definition of trauma bonding.
Yeah.
So just wanted to put those 2 cents in. And so how's that like as a mother now? How have you used those lessons to raise your kids?
So basically, once I became a mom, I knew I couldn't continue this for much longer. So I did end up going no contact about a little over a year after my daughter was born. My husband and I, we used to live in another town about an hour away from where we live now. And when we bought this house that we're currently in, it wasn't going to be ready for 9 months. It was a new build. So back then, this was like 11 years ago. And he himself, he had heard all the stories and and been around my parents and knew to a certain extent, but he grew up in a relatively normal situation. His dad wasn't around as much. He was a truck driver, but his mom, he put his mom on a pedestal. She was a great mom. She was always there. So relatively speaking, compared to me, he grew up in a normal situation, as normal as it could be. So when we were going to get ready to move into this home, there was a transition of those 9 months. Where are we going to go? And my parents have a finished basement. And so we'd had many conversations with them during my pregnancy and I had made it clear, this is your last chance. You're going to be grandparents now. You can either change for the sake of your grandchildren and wanting to know them and getting to know them and having a relationship with them. Or if you don't, we're done. And I had had many conversations around what those boundaries would look like. Like my father had to stop drinking completely. They couldn't fight around my children. All these things were in place. So when we were going to move, my husband asked me, instead of us renting a place for those 9 months, why don't we just go stay with your parents? Because we had had those conversations previously. Things seemed to, and they were, you know, my mother started calling me weekly. She was checking me in on me while I was pregnant. So things did seem here and there on the outside to be kind of coming together. And at the end of the day, I wanted to believe that they would be different for my daughter. Sure. I wanted that because at the end of, like I said earlier, no child wants that separation from their parents. It's not something that they're the number one choice. It's the straw that broke the camel's back when they choose that. Yeah. So when I was pregnant, you know, all the things were coming into place. My husband finally said, you know, like, it's going to save us a lot of money. We're starting a family. Let's kind of try to do this. It's only going to be for a few months. We know there's an end date, so let's just try it. So we did. And I don't regret it because it's still like, it showed me the fact that they couldn't change. So, and I am grateful for the fact that my daughter was a newborn and she'll never remember being there. She'll never remember them. She'll never remember what happened. But it was the same thing. I moved back in to the same parents that I moved away from years before.
Yeah, that's
they were still fighting. My dad was still drinking, although he was hiding it better, or so he thought. I was finding bottles in the closet. I would catch him in the wine store and he would say he's chatting with a friend, but I knew he was coming home with wine at the end of the day. And then I'd find all these things and then they were just arguing. And I'm here as a new mom, a newborn baby who would never sleep unless she was attached to me. And I'm going crazy with sleep deprivation myself. And they're above me yelling, screaming, stomping. One day I just went up there and I was in tears and I begged them because I had just gotten my daughter down for a 20-minute nap and I myself wasn't able to sleep because I was pumping. So I'm trying to do this. I'm just trying to get 20 minutes where she's not on me, basically. And they start fighting. They're stomping. They're screaming. They're arguing over my dad wanting to go take this trip to India. And I come up there and I'm just begging them, please. I just got Kayla down to sleep. She hasn't slept. I haven't slept. I'm about to lose it. Can you just please be quiet? I didn't ask them to stop arguing. Just be quiet about it.
Yeah, just bring it down a notch.
Yeah.
Take it down or take it outside or anything else.
Yeah, and it all came, oh, yes, I'm sorry. As soon as I closed the basement door, they started up again. I went upstairs again. Your grandchild is sleeping. Your newborn baby grandchild is trying to sleep. Please, just take it down. No, it didn't happen. And so in that instance, I just sat there. My daughter then finally started crying. I was in the basement by myself, just bawling. And I'm breastfeeding her and just thinking, I cannot let this poison touch her. I can't. So when it was time, when our house was finally ready and it was time to move in, they came to my daughter's first birthday. We moved in a month before my daughter's first birthday. They came to her party. And after that, I just realized I don't want to pass this on to my kids.
Yeah.
They weren't changing. They weren't willing to change. They weren't willing to look at themselves. They weren't willing to take accountability. There was nothing I could do except cut ties.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't going to be good. It wasn't going to be good for me. It wasn't going to be good for my children.
Yeah.
And the whole situation was completely dysfunctional.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it changed for me, was becoming a mom, like really showed me what I'm willing to put up with and what I'm not willing to put up with.
Yeah.
So that was really important. And then since then, you know, my daughter's 11 now, my son is 8. And, you know, once in a while they'll ask me like, you know, why don't we talk to your parents? Like, why don't, and I tell them age appropriately, I tell them, you know, my mommy and daddy weren't very nice to me. So the life that I had looked very different than the life that you have right now.
Right.
So that's what they understand. And it's just, I see them getting to the ages where I was going through certain things. At 11, I had lived more life than my daughter ever has.
Right.
I had you know, I was parentified. I was, you know, doing things around the house that, you know, keeping secrets from friends because they wouldn't understand, putting a smile on my face every day for school when I knew I was dying on the inside, and what I was coming home to, a ball of anxiety at home, all these things. And then I look at my daughter at age 11, and she's so carefree. You know, she puts her head to the pillow and she sleeps every night without a worry in the world. And it's just, I wouldn't be able to imagine a life that would put those burdens on her that I had on me at that age.
Absolutely.
And that's where I kind of drew the line. And that's where it kind of made it really easy to kind of say, yes, I'm going to break the cycle. I'm not going to put on my kids what I had put on me.
Great. Real quick, Joe, you can respond in the chat. Is that question for Sharon? Did you ever have a list of chores as a babysitter? I guess is the question. Like you were babysitting your parents, or I'm not sure if that's the question.
So I did, so I did most of the housework. My parents were really old fashioned. Like we come from an Indian background. So a lot was put on my brother's older than me, but when it came to housework, a lot more was put on me than was put on him. And that's not his fault. Like it was just the way the dynamic was.
Sure.
But there was this expectation of me that wasn't ever put on him. Different expectations were put on him. Different burdens were put on him as the oldest son. But for me, it was more, it was more guilt put on me.
Right.
If I said no to something, I was guilted and guilted and guilted until I finally gave in. Whereas if my brother would say no to something, they would leave him alone.
So always has to stay. The daughter is not allowed to say no.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the way the dynamic was. And don't get me wrong, my brother had a lot put on him as well, being the oldest and being a boy. And he got into physical altercations with my dad at certain points in life, because once he got old enough to try to physically defend my mom, he would. And, you know, my father being in these, you know, drunken rages, had no regard for whether that was his son or not. It was just, you know, I want what I want when I want it. Yeah. And that was it. But yeah, I did have chores that needed to be done. But at the end of the day, they weren't so strict about them getting done because they were so intertwined within themselves that a lot of, like, we were neglected. We were really, really neglected. So at the end of the day, yes, I was told you have to do this, 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 and this around the house, and it needs to get done. But was anybody checking up that it was really done? No.
Yeah.
It wasn't chores or like work for the sake of work. It wasn't like they didn't enforce chores as a means of control over you.
Absolutely.
You kind of just fell into the chores because someone had to get them done, and
they
were addicted to the chaos.
Yeah, and then Joe makes another point. Like the chores were what kept you in line.
Yeah, and okay, so I wouldn't say that I actually was in line especially during my teenage years.
Sure.
But looking back, I wouldn't say I was a rebel either, because in my home, it was like I was 16, 17, wanting to start to date boys and all that kind of stuff. That's the age you kind of do it. But for some reason, I was the oldest girl in my family among my cousins as well. So a lot of that stigma of like, oh, you're going to go out and date now, that was kind of put on me too. My cousin, who's 5 years younger than me, who is a girl, got away with a lot more than I did 5 years earlier. And so like I was wanting to do like these normal teenage things, go out and date, go out with my friends, you know, go to prom after party, things that my brother was allowed to do at my age. And I was getting told no, and getting shown in a different light and getting displayed in a different light to my family because I wanted to do those things, which to me are normal as a teenager.
Normal stuff.
So there was a lot of stuff I ended up doing behind my parents' back, and not necessarily because it was bad, but because I wanted to live my life.
Sure.
Because I wasn't having a life within the confines of that home. It was abuse. It was dysfunction. It was nothing about me. So outside of those walls, I wanted to have a space. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to have friends and a boyfriend and have that kind of a life outside of those walls. And it what it really did was teach me that I had to put on a mask.
Yeah.
Everywhere I went.
Yeah. It's a form of malicious incompetence, honestly.
Exactly. And, you know, I had to do that for survival, but I also had to do it to seem like I was normal amongst my peers. Because when you're in elementary school and you're watching your best friend, you're going to her house after school and she's hugging her mom and they're telling each other that they love each other and they want to talk to each other and they're excited to talk to each other. And you're seeing these dynamics when you're this young age in elementary school, and then you know what you're going home to. It really changes at that such tender age. It changes the way you put yourself out into the world.
Absolutely.
And it puts on that mask and it forces you to wear all these things, but then you're going home and wearing a whole different suit of armor. So you're going out into the world going, oh, hey, I'm this happy-go-lucky kid and nothing's going on at home and I'm smiling and I'm laughing and all that. And then you go home and then you're having to put on this other suit of armor that's saying, well, I have to be strong enough to survive what's going on here too. So it's a lot of weight, and it is a lot of, again, it's a lot of trauma, and it shapes the way you become as an adult. And the reality is I'm in my 40s now, and I'm unpacking a lot of this stuff for the first time because I didn't really ever allow myself the space to kind of say, yes, you went through something.
To process, yeah.
Yeah. And it actually meant something. It meant more than what every adult back then was trying to sweep it under the rug. It wasn't, oh, it's no big deal. It wasn't, oh, you need to forgive and forget. It wasn't they're doing their best. This is what you went through, and you need to own it and process it and try and deal with it the way it needs to be dealt with finally. And I feel like I hit 40. Yeah, I feel like I hit 40 and I just said, I can't keep denying what happened to me anymore. Right. And that's where the writing came in. It came back in again, and it came back really heavy, and really just has me thinking every single day. Like, I'm active in notes all the time because whenever a thought pops into my head, I'm just like, yeah, you know, that happened, and it's something I hadn't processed before now, but I really need to think about how it's not about being the victim, and it's not about it being trauma. It's about learning how it's shaped me and how it's made me who I am now, and what I want to keep with me from it. Because there are things that I came out of it. I am a very strong person. I am very resilient. But then there's also the flip side of it. Well, but maybe I don't want to be strong anymore. Because in the past, strength looked like, oh, I have to feel like everything's okay. I have to put on this act. I have to put on this mask. I can't admit that I'm sad or upset or depressed or anxious. Now it looks like being vulnerable enough to admit that I am sad and anxious and depressed and all that stuff. So that's where the strength has to come in now. The strength before was covering it all up. The strength now has to be being vulnerable enough to admit it.
Exactly.
Wow. Yes, it's not being like rigid as before. It's like being anti-fragile. Yeah, you don't have to be unbreakable. You just have to be the opposite of brittle.
And I'm still working on that because I'm very much a person that has kept everything in my whole life. And, you know, my husband often says, like, you know, he never knows when, because I'm so stoic at times. He never knows when something's actually going on with me because I just always act like everything's fine. And it's now I'm to the point where I'm like, I have to stop doing that, just not only for the sake of my own mental health, but to show my kids, like, you don't have to hold everything in.
Yeah. It's okay to cry. It's okay to reach out for help. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's so important. It's so important to be able to ask for help. It's so important to, and I remember this when I was 17, I was at the worst of it. I was in high school, not going to classes. I was in bed all day. I was lying to my parents. I would tell them that my teacher was absent that day and I came home early, or that class got canceled, or whatever I could come up with. And I was coming home and just laying in bed, depressed. I was self-harming. I had all this stuff going on because of what was going on at home. And finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't know how long I was going to last, basically, for lack of a better word. And I finally decided, okay, I'm going to go to my mom. I need help. I don't know what else to do. And I went to her crying and telling her I didn't want to live anymore. I was depressed. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't go to school. I didn't know what else to do. Please get me some help. And she refused.
Oh my gosh. I'm so
sorry. She told me word for word, her words were, you don't have to talk to a doctor. Your mom is your best friend. And this was after 17 years of narcissism and her paying more attention to my father than her kids. So I don't know where the best friend thing came in, but gaslighting. Really what it was at the end of the day was that she was ashamed and she didn't want to get me the help that I needed because it would make her look like a bad mom. Was the reality at the end of the day.
And the reality of being all of this coming to light, and it would be impossible to ignore at that point.
Yes, absolutely. And when it was staring her right in the face, she still refused. And I remember shortly after I turned 18, and I went to my vice principal because I hadn't been to classes in weeks. I was at risk of not graduating out of some of my classes. And my vice principal said something to me that turned everything around and said, you're 18 now. You don't need your parents' permission to get the help that you need. And right after that, I went to my family doctor. I got a referral to a psychiatrist, and everything kind of went from there. And I went into from 18, I was depressed probably from the time I was 13, 14. But by the time I got help at 18, I went into my mid-20s, on various medications, various doctors, all this kind of stuff, finally, until something settled and I kind of pulled myself back out. But it was with no help from my parents.
Right. You had to do it all yourself.
Yeah, because there was an image thing there.
Yeah.
And having to take that on so young and know that when I was at my lowest and you go to the people who you're supposed to trust most for help, it shapes the rest of your life.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it makes you, if you can't feel safe enough to go to your own parents as a teenager and say, I don't even want to be here anymore. And they refuse to get you the help that you need. It makes you mistrusting of every person after that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Understandably. Like, I couldn't even imagine, that trauma circle that, you grew up in. I mean, I look back on my childhood and, I was a little bit pissed that my parents were so strict, but I still had a great childhood.
Yeah.
It was a good, loving home. We are, Sharon, you are getting lots and lots more love in the chat.
So much love in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My God. And I did want to add to the hour. Yeah.
Oh, Joe asks, what person listened? So when you went out to seek help on your own, who was it that listened to you?
I honestly went to my family doctor.
Okay.
And then ended up getting a referral to a psychiatrist. And then I saw the psychiatrist for a few years. Finally found the right combination of medications. And I was really proactive after that because when I went to my vice principal and she said those words to me, it really changed everything for me because I realized if my own mother wasn't willing to save me, nobody in this world is going to. So if I want to be here, I need to really do it.
Yes.
And I did. And in Toronto, we have something, it's called CAMH. It's the Center for Addiction and Mental Health. So not only was I seeing a psychiatrist, I went to all the programs that he referred to me to, which was about anxiety, which was, group courses about depression, group courses about anxiety, and you're working with these other people. I even did a trial study just because I was so desperate to kind of pull myself out of this. I was on lithium for a while, which was one of the experimental studies.
Yep.
Didn't like that very much, but
Yeah.
once the study was over,
hardcore,
kind of zombified there instead of kind of working through anything.
Right.
But yeah, once I found the right doctor and the right combination of meds, but I had to do it all on my own.
Sure.
And right now, in my 40s, I can look back and be proud of that.
Absolutely.
But at the time, it felt like I was a sinking ship and I was begging my mother to throw me a buoy out into the ocean.
Right.
And she was saying, no.
Yeah. Swim.
Figure it out on your own.
Yeah. Jeez.
Figure it out on your own and then have the audacity to get mad at you when you did.
Yep. Yeah.
And have the audacity to not understand when I finally went no contact, right? Like,
yeah.
Right. Why are you doing
you can't, like, you can't repair a relationship when there is no mutual understanding that both you and your kid are human beings, first and foremost. You can't treat your kid like an afterthought or a prop or a toy or property.
Yeah.
And then expect them to receive the same way.
Sure.
And that's the thing. You hit it right on the head there. Because that's what me and my brother were treated like. We were the props in their story.
Right.
We were there to protect her when she was getting hurt. We were there to intervene. We were there to get in between their fights. We were there for them to use.
Yeah.
The refs, the entourage.
Yeah.
The back end cleaning that they couldn't take care of themselves. It's weaponized incompetence.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kimmy says, oh no, she was saying hi to Torchbearer. I thought she was saying you were the Torchbearer.
no, hi Torchbearer. But yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, honestly.
Yeah.
And
hey, you know what? We are getting to the top of the hour. This is it goes by so fast.
Yeah,
it goes by so fast, Sarah. And
I was so nervous, and now it's like,
yeah. And you're welcome back anytime. Just reach out and say, hey, I'd like to be on. But we do like to do this new thing at the end of every show because, we talk about a lot of heavy stuff.
Yeah.
We would like to carve out a little bit of joy. So like you can think about something that happened recently or what brings you joy and share it. And we'll all do that. So you can go first, Sharon.
Oh, recently, I would have to say, obviously, it would have to do with my kids.
Yeah.
Actually, this wasn't too recent, but one thing that comes to mind, and I told this story online. There was one day, me and my son were passing this ball back and forth, and he was like, "Mommy, pass me that toy," and I passed it to him, and he goes, "Okay, now do it again, but with more pizzazz." And I just lost it.
That's awesome.
Like, I'm sorry, I didn't know there were rules to how I had to pass you the toy.
I didn't know there were styles to the passing of the ball.
Constantly, like, stuff like that. He's just constantly coming out of his mouth, and he just makes me laugh every single day.
That's amazing.
And my daughter, on the other end of that, I see so much of myself in her, but in the best ways. Like her creativity about writing and like, she's thoughtful and she's imaginative. And like, so those two things between the two of them, it's just, it's a good life. It's a good life.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my God. Tiny humans.
What about you, Tig? What brought you joy recently?
Something that brought me joy recently. Two things. I finished a major design prototype for a new invention I've been working on for a few years now.
Oh wow.
It's patent worthy. I'm really, really excited for it. Because I may have accidentally made 2/3 of the mining industry obsolete without realizing it. Oh God. But on that note, other thing that brought me major joy, I got my paperwork lined up for a top surgery at the end of the summer.
Oh, good for you.
I'm getting my top surgery done.
Yeah, awesome, Tig. So Tig is transitioning female to male, right?
Yeah. Oh wow!
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I really love I just love taking the form or whatever suits my needs. Honestly, that's the non-binary aspect
of it. You gotta be happy with your own body, right?
Yeah, and I've been wanting to get top surgery for quite some time. It's been a long fight. It's been a long period of getting here, but I finally got the pamphlets and I'm sending everything over to my provider. And now the consultation works through. And my friend actually from upstate, I've been friends with like for 15 years. He actually owns a media company and he joined me for like content creation going forward. And he's actually like, listen, dude, I can come by and just help you with like aftercare and stuff like that. I'd love that. Thank you. And so, yay!
That's awesome. Congratulations.
I'm going to have my muscly pecs that I've always wanted.
You're going to have to start pumping some iron.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm trying to get the calisthenics more and more these days. Oh my God.
Yeah. And for myself. So last weekend, I was not able to join the live because I was up at about 10 to 11,000 feet in the mountains camping here in Utah. Little place called Fish Lake National Forest. And I went fishing, caught some fish. It was amazing. And one other thing that brought me joy. I had it on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, that was my big one. I was able to go do a little vacation. I work 2 jobs, and I got 3 dogs. I'm busy. I got a podcast, but yeah, so I was able to go escape for like 4 or 5 days. So that brought me a lot of joy.
That's amazing.
Lovely. Getting out in nature, going wilderness and whatnot. I love it.
Yeah. No phone service,
No phone service.
Disconnected. It was great.
Just you and the trees.
Everyone in the chat, thank you for being here. We will repost as always. And Sharon, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm so happy
Thank you so much for being here, Sharon.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And anytime, if you want to talk about something else, or we can revisit the trauma situation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we like to do different parts of conversations. So like part 1, part 2. But again, stick around because we're going to end the live and then we'll debrief. And then I'll let you get back to your kids.
Awesome. Oh, they're in bed now, so no worries.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone in chat. Much love. Dun, 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 dun.